Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of March 13th, 2016. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. This week, we have the second of three exact, rare, harmonious conversations taking place between Jupiter and Pluto. The first one took place back in October, and the next one will be here in June. And of course, I'll be here to talk about it then. All of us in some way are going through a process of being more deeply honest with ourselves and focused transformation. It's about understanding what it is that is worth giving your attention to, what it is that is your truth, whether it's the truth that you have to dig for or a truth that you feel, and where is it that real power is won. And it is power ultimately that is part of that, and how we define that for ourselves, but also of course collectively as well. On personal levels, what we understand as power, achievement, success, wealth, all of that is highly personal. And all of that ultimately is about you defining that for yourself. All of us, we go through a process where we decide, as part of any life, right? As part of any growth, we decide, we realize what really matters and what doesn't. This is part of what this energy is helping us to understand. But also, because Jupiter is in a part of the sky right now, a sign, Virgo, that has to do with the work that you do. What are you actually doing day in and day out? What are you producing day in and day out? And how is it that the little things are adding up to the really big things? And then we've got Pluto. Pluto is so much about the big things in the sign of Capricorn, very much about the big things. It's about the big power move. It's about asserting yourself and realizing what success requires and dedicating yourself to it. However, all of us, as part of our own unique process, I think a lot of people actually, as Pluto now is in the middle of an extended transit that'll take us right into next decade. This to me, and this particular conversation to me, says that ultimately what success is and what's worth going for is something that is going through a process of metamorphosis. And all of us are dealing with, experiencing, and working with this energy in our own unique ways. However, that ultimate definition, that ultimate process will be something deeply personal and will be something more self-defined. With Jupiter in support of Pluto now, this to me speaks volumes about that proverbial moment of truth that leads to a big power move. That understanding of what true wealth is for you, right? Both of these planets have an association with real wealth, not just making money, right? Not just enjoying money and having nice things. It's all very Venusian. But this is really about getting to the core and the essence of what matters and building from there. And all of us are going to get to that. Is this who I really am? Collectively, we can see this right now. A lot of people, in a lot of ways, we're saying to ourselves, is this who we really are? And that's what's happening. Where is it that real meaningful change has to take place? Where is it that we need to be more honest with ourselves? That is part of the collective discussion that is taking place right now. And this is going to be one of the more harmonious moments where we're able to and willing to engage the possibilities that much more. But of course, there's the more independent part of it, which has to do with our own personal journey. Where is it that we've been wasting energy or wasting time? Where is it that we need to be more honest with ourselves? Now that's big. It's one thing to say, I am such and such. It's another thing to demonstrate it. It's one thing to say, I love doing this. It's another thing to actually be doing it and be experiencing it. Are you doing something just for the sake of doing it? Are you doing something because you think you have to do it? This is where you are right now. That's fine, right? If that's where you are, but at least be honest with yourself about that instead of kidding yourself. So these are going to be moments of truth, moments of honesty that ultimately will lead to great power in the fullness of time. Now, the questions, the conversations, the considerations that get us there will be a little varied this week, and that is thanks to Mercury. Mercury is conversations, it's perceptions, it's communications, and it's also, on a more collective level, it is the media as a reflection of the things that we're talking about, the things that we're considering. And it does look like it's going to be a big week in terms of the news that finds us and the things that we are discussing as a collective. So Mercury is speaking with Saturn, okay? Now, this conversation with Saturn is one of tension. It's asking us the tough questions. We are asking ourselves tough questions in our own conversations as well. But also collectively, we're looking at things in a little bit more of a detached way to a certain extent, but also I think of this as Saturn has to do with restraint. So in some way, there might be some of us that are feeling like, you just want to let loose, but you can't. You want to say so much, but you know it's wiser not to at this moment. And that's where Pluto comes in, because Pluto is going to be speaking in harmony with Mercury, and this is allowing a wise strategy. This also says to me, again, collectively in the media, we should be seeing where's restraint healthy, where is it not? What are the limits? What should we do? What should we not? And coming up with wise strategies to move forward in different areas of life. And then you add to this the fact that Jupiter is standing across Mercury. So there's a few ways that this energy can play out. One way is that this can be very hyperbolic, I gotta say. So this can be very much words being larger than life, words weaving an amazing picture, and some people are really into it and others really are not, are feeling very distanced from it. Jupiter standing across from that Mercury. But regardless, this is going to be a chance to, and all of us to consider, again, who we are, who we want to be, what our measure, our limits of compassion are. This is very much part of that ongoing dance that Saturn and Neptune are engaging. However, with Jupiter involved, because Jupiter is ancient ruler to the sign of Pisces, Mercury is moving through the sign of Pisces. And Neptune, speaking with Saturn, is the modern ruling sign of Pisces. So it is this very submerged, communal, and connectedness to everyone and everything energy that we are going to have to be talking about, looking at, and considering from different perspectives. Like, what does that mean? What is the extent of that? How do we move beyond our current understanding and step into something even more inspired? What's the distance between being it and where we are right now? Thinking it and actually being it, while thinking it and speaking it can get you to being it. Where is it and how far is that distance? What is the work that is going to get us there? So all of this is going to be part of our own individual journeys in at least one area of life, our own unique pathways towards this deeper understanding of how it is that we can be wiser people. But also with Jupiter speaking with Pluto, it's not just about being genuine, being wiser. It's about fully owning whatever needs to change so that you can be that more real version. And so that you can define for yourself what realness is and move in that direction. We've also got this week Venus speaking with Mars. Now they are speaking in a conversation of a lot of passion, and for some, maybe some tension as well. Well, tension is, attraction as well. It's an energy of attraction. So this is super passionate, super, super sexy and passionate. It's really important though, because of the nature of the conversation, to strive to ground the energy in that Jupiter and Pluto. See, Jupiter and Pluto are very much about what's real. They want what's real. And especially in their respective signs right now, they are saying, okay, what matters, what doesn't. They really are not about having anything superfluous. These two planets speaking together as they are in Earth signs. And then we've got Venus and Mars getting together, and it will be that much more important and that much harder to just say, okay, oh, it doesn't matter. It is what it is right now. I'm going to be with this person right now. This person is fine for just right now. Pluto and Jupiter are speaking. So we can't help but think of the big picture. So no matter how much attraction might be there, a lot of us are going to be thinking very big picture. Now on the flip side of this, the other side of this is that conversation that Venus and Mars are having right now. This does speak to, and given the fact that Jupiter and Pluto are speaking, this can actually suggest an attraction that leads to a personal understanding, a personal change. So it could be, one thing that I'm very, very adamant about is that if you want love, right? If you want to experience greater love in any area of life, and however you define that, there's nothing that will help you experience greater love than love. It's like you have to let yourself know, you have to let life know, the universe know that you have options, to get into that place of feeling like you have options available to you. Because then you are accessing an energy of abundance and making love that much more available to you. I actually think, as I look at this, that there are going to be some people out there who are going to access this energy by becoming aware, maybe surprisingly so, maybe like, is this real? Is this really happening? But in some way becoming more aware that you do have options, that there are options available to you in matters of heart, in matters of love. But I also think that some people, while a lot of us are going to be experiencing this in very passionate ways, regardless of where you decide to go with that, ultimately it is that Jupiter and Pluto conversation that is dominant now. It is a rare and very fortunate conversation. I do think that ultimately that is going to be the anchor point where it becomes about transformative experiences and real experiences that get to the core of a matter. But even so, there might be some people out there who experience this more in terms of money and finances. What is it that you want to spend your money on now? What is it that you think is better left for another day? What is it that really matters, right? And what does wealth require of you? I think it's going to be part of this. Now, again, we're going to be having that discussion. What does wealth require and what is wealth collectively as well? And so, look, Capricorn is the sign of big structures, big corporations, big banks. And having Pluto there is bringing our attention to what needs to change. So we can expect to hear some news around that. I do think that it's possible that there might be some, interesting financial news earlier in the week that lends itself to a deeper appreciation, a deeper understanding of how well. Now, think back, okay? Think back to 2008. It was in 2008 that we had Saturn, where Jupiter is now. Saturn was in the sign of Virgo. That's where Jupiter is right now. And Jupiter was in the sign of Capricorn. That's where Pluto is now. And it was at that time, back in 2008, 2009, that we had the financial crisis. Jupiter, like almost to the day, Jupiter moves into the sign of Capricorn, and all of a sudden, this what isn't solid in the structure reveals itself. Like, we have to look at what's really going on behind the scenes, the dark side of what's happening on that level. And so, of course, it led to a lot of people, or rather, I should say, a lot of governments, because of where Jupiter was, because of Saturn, or rather, as symbolized by Jupiter, as symbolized by Saturn. The response widely around the world, the response was stimulus packages. It was doing things ultimately that would help to create greater prosperity and help to sort of overcome the challenges that presented themselves, and to support these industries as well, big industries, big companies. So now we are at this point where Jupiter and Pluto are speaking in the same signs that Saturn and Jupiter were speaking. So this is giving us that other perspective of those programs that were implemented back in 2008, back in 2009. What it was that was implemented then, how successful has it been? We're going to be looking at that right about now. We're going to be evaluating that right about now. I know that right around the time of the first conversation between Jupiter and Pluto, that was when Justin Trudeau, I always want to say Pierre Trudeau, right? Because he was very loved in our family when I was a little girl. I remember my father canvassing for Pierre Trudeau. So I want to say Justin Trudeau because he's our prime minister now. He's the son of Pierre Trudeau. But sometimes Pierre kind of comes out. Sorry about that. But yes, Justin Trudeau, he ran on a platform of stimulus packages and was voted into, became our prime minister. So to me, this conversation represents and speaks to that very desire that we're going to be having. How well did it work? We're evaluating, but also how now can we further affirm and ensure that we're creating prosperity all around. We're creating wealth all around. What is that going to look like? What are the plans that are going to be implemented? And also, look, Jupiter's in the sign of work, the working person. How can we get people to work? What needs to change so more people can work? That's all going to be part and parcel of the larger conversations that are going to be taking place now. But we can expect at least some new initiatives to be launched at this time. I do think for Canadians out there, my fellow Canadians out there, it is very likely that some of those things promised back in late last year, some of those things promised then will now start to be implemented that much more. It should be a really interesting time for all of us, personally, collectively. We're looking deeply within, we're defining what it means to be rich, realizing where we are and realizing where it is that we can create more of wealth for ourselves, however it is that we define that. Well, thank you so much for watching the introduction. I'm truly so grateful for it. I'm so grateful that you are here. Thank you so much. Please like, comment, subscribe, thumbs up, share. It means so much to me. I love your questions. Please do keep them coming. Facebook, Twitter, Google+, my website, nadiyashah.com, and the YouTube comments as well. As you know, as you may know, I'm asked a lot of questions. I always try to acknowledge your questions. I love interacting with you guys. And sometimes your questions are like astrological in nature. So I always make sure to try and acknowledge them, to answer them, or to let you know that they're on the list. I have a list, a master list. One at a time, we're going to get through those frequently asked questions. For others out there, I am asked questions that are a little bit more personal, that have to do with your unique circumstances. If that's the case, please do consider a personalized horoscope where I can do just that, look at your unique situation and give you insights that are unique just for you. So you can learn more about that on my website, nadiyashah.com. But of course, you being here is everything. It is absolutely everything, you being here. You being here allows me to live my mission. And you know, my mission is the universe is wise and loving. And I feel like lately, collectively, we're really being asked to affirm that much more, to dig, to see the love and wisdom that is playing out. But it's there. It is always there if we're willing to see it. If we're willing to bring light in any situation. If we're willing just a little bit to see what could be loving, to see what could be wise in this moment, collectively, individually, regardless of where you are. In eclipse season, it's been really adventurous for a lot of us out there, even in eclipse season. If we're willing to take that one little moment to think, okay, what and how can I use this feeling, this moment, this emotion, this reflection to become more wise, to become more loving? I think the universe responds 10 times over, 100 times over to fulfill that request. That little bit of willingness is all it takes to move ourselves powerfully forward. And all it takes is one, and then two, and then three. But all it takes is a few to become those examples, to magnify that energy that ultimately moves the collective forward. And I believe that we are in that. We are so in that progress towards owning that energy within us that is love and that is wise. You being here allows me to affirm that message. You being here, I think, means that on some level you resonate with that. And for that, I am so, so very grateful. You've changed my life. You really have. I've been making videos. I'm a little reflective these days because later this year, I'll be coming up to my 10-year anniversary as a full-time astrologer. September 1st will be 10 years. And I know it's a little bit away, but in a way, I'm already I'm thinking about, wow, how blessed I have been and how much my friends and fans like you out there have been part of that blessing. And it means so much to me. You being here means that we're doing something good. And you being here, my hope is that this video, this horoscope in some way affirms to you, infuses your life with hope, with inspiration, and a knowing on some level that you are being moved in a positive direction. Well, thank you so much again. How all this wonderful stuff, all this celestial adventure this week speaks to you and your sign is coming up right now. Hello, fabulous Aries. This week we've got your ruling planet speaking with Venus. This is going to be an interesting time, I do think. And one level, it'll be wonderful to think about with Mars, your ruling planet, slowing down now. Won't go retrograde for a little while yet, but now in a compatible sign to yours, fellow fire sign Sagittarius, slowing down. And right now speaking with Venus in the sign just before yours. So whenever something takes place in the sign before yours, it's like there are rumblings, right? There's something going on under the surface. You can't always put words to it. You can't always explain it, but you feel it. Things can also seem to arise and make you aware of their existence. And what I mean by that is this has to do with where maybe you get in the way of your own stated intentions and things that you'd like for yourself. This is getting honest. This is about an energy of honesty. Wherever light shines, awareness comes to this part of the sky, it is ultimately a chance to bring to consciousness anything that ultimately sabotages you, so that you can release it, so that you can be more clear on your intention and move powerfully forward. It's an important part of the human experience. And this week, you get to have your own interaction with it. Your ruling planet is right now in a part of the sky that has to do with the vision. It has to do with the adventure. It has to do with considering how you could manifest more, what it is that you need to do right now so that you can get to that place of having and of manifesting more of who it is that you desire to be, the goals, the successes that you desire to have. So this is about lining things up, putting things into place, but also it is about, as I said, the adventure. And so other things are included in this, like travel, like education, because again, yes, it has to do with being more, knowing more, experiencing more than you did before. With Venus in the sign just before yours, this is going to be a chance to look at where you get in your own way, yes, but this also can be a chance to look at your own fears. Fears can get in our way as well. And where is it that you feel that you should be on one path and you might be paying attention to one path, but something isn't feeling quite right? I like to say it's very rare that we must make a decision right away. It's rare that we have to make a decision on the spot. Usually, the case is that we have more time than we realize. Usually the case is that if you don't know what to do, if you don't know what to do, you don't have to do anything in that moment. Now, that doesn't mean that you want to be apathetic. Of course not, never. But it is about giving yourself that little bit of time to contemplate, to have that personal clarity. That might seem like a luxury in some moments, but really we have it more often than we realize. So if you can, as you are considering your plan forward, as you are considering what it is that you might want to manifest in the bigger picture, what it is that you have to do now, if you can be okay with whatever you're afraid of, or even just to be okay with trying to figure that out before you move forward, that would actually benefit you greatly, because it will make sure that you are making choices from a place not only of honesty, but that ultimately are going to lead you in a direction where you truly are feeling stronger and stronger. So when I look at this, this to me says, if you are, for example, in school, if you're studying something that doesn't feel right, or if you've applied for school or university and the program you're going for, it isn't resonating with you, this is your chance to check in with yourself, to make sure of that. This is your chance to ask yourself some very important questions, to make sure that it isn't fear that is guiding your decision. And the same is true for taking on any new adventure, taking on any new role in what it is that you desire to live more of, to experience more of. And actually the truth is that anything that you aspire to do, I do believe that we can do it. And I do believe that we can also do it and make it enjoyable. It doesn't always require as much sacrifice, but sometimes the sacrifice is part of the deal. We sacrifice parts of who we knew ourselves to be so that we can become that very person who could achieve that thing that we're looking forward to. So there's an element here of using your energy wisely, an element here of needing time to regenerate a little bit, to figure out your best plan forward, but also not getting in the way of what your heart truly wants. Now that's true in life, but also in love this week as well. So if you're in an established bond, is there any way in which you could be doing more to, whether it's understand more or to make this relationship that much more successful or not? Is it that you've been hanging on to something too long? or not, right? These are going to be parts of the consideration. If you're open to meeting someone new, what is it that you believe in a bigger sense about what needs to happen, what you need to be in order to really be open to relationships? And where is it that that might just be an excuse? This is going to be part of the ways in which you'll get to see where you are in love, your readiness in love, and where it is that you truly desire to go. And if you feel, sometimes there are times that it's okay to be on your own. It's okay to realize, right now I really have these other goals that matter to me and I want to focus on that. Then that's okay. Own that. That's what really matters. For a few of you out there, I do think that there may be an attraction. This is a week of some attractions that might feel a little inconvenient, but still could add a tremendous amount of fun to your day. Hello, fabulous Taurus. This week we've got Jupiter in fellow Earth sign Virgo. Jupiter is moving through a part of the sky for you that has to do with fun, enjoying life, enjoying ideas, creativity, children, being a big kid, romance, all of that magnified with Jupiter now. And you add to that the power of Pluto. This to me suggests that you are getting very clear about who you are and what you want and what needs to change and where you can empower yourself, where it is that you can nurture your own thoughts, your own ideas, your own momentum moving forward. Where is it that you can decide what needs to change if you're going to have a life more full of joyous moments and be willing to make those changes. This can also be on a heart level, on a love level. This can be a time when we are asking ourselves what needs to change to experience great love. Where do you have to go? What do you need to do? Who do you need to be to experience that love that you desire? If you're in an established bond, or if you're just somebody who desires to have a child right now in an established bond, and sometimes some people in our modern world, that might not be a factor. However, if you are somebody who wants to have a child, this can be a time when either that happens for you or the answers you need come through for you to make that happen for yourself. If you are in an established bond, this can be a time when you are thinking about how to make this something that is not only more fulfilling, but that much stronger. It's about fortifying what you have to make it last. That is going to be key for you now. There's going to be a real sense of gratitude, of depth, of strength to what's happening on a heart level. A few of you out there, small percentage of you actually, I do think this can be one of those, turning point moments. There's an ease to it, but this is sort of like accepting where it is that a certain connection is not working. And that's okay too. But there is an ease to this. It has a flow to it. I don't see this as being some big dramatic moment. It might be a little tough to have the conversation you need to have. And you really want to be mindful not to let friends do that talking for you, because it could be friends that sort of trip you up a little bit there. Or, it's about having that respect there with you and that person. So make sure you are speaking as directly as possible. But having said that, for the small percentage of you out there, there will be an acceptance of where you're ready now to move on. If you've been trying to get over somebody, acceptance as well, where you're ready to move on. Those of you and others of you in an established bond, a depth of gratitude, of commitment takes place now. So regardless, you're feeling grateful, whether you feel grateful even more solidly with that person or you feel grateful, ready to move forward from that person, gratitude is always a good thing and is where it's at right now. A gratitude for how you've changed, how you are better today than you were. For those of you open to meeting someone new, this energy is very like flirt energy. So if anybody should be out there enjoying life, it's always a good idea to enjoy life, but really get your flirt on, okay? Chances are at the very least, you will have an interaction, you will meet somebody who certainly leaves an impact, who helps you to understand yourself differently and possibly even changes you in some very profound ways. Now, all earth signs should be feeling this. Yours is going to be one of the more magnified signs to feel this. With this energy, it is about that transformative experience led by heart. It could be a child that facilitates that moment. It could be a flirtation or a love interest that facilitates that moment. It could be a creative experience that facilitates that moment. But this can really be the time when you establish yourself. You're able to put down a real sense of solid gains thanks to where your heart leads you. If you're a creative person, make sure you're giving that project your time. This can also be a time when you make that big power move that allows you to take your art and launch you in a direction of great change and great prosperity. Hello, fabulous Gemini. This week we've got your ruling planet having all kinds of conversations, power moves with Jupiter, with Saturn, with Pluto. This is a powerful position for your ruling planet to be in because it does suggest that it isn't just about what's happening outside. And for you, that outside is really career oriented. What's happening big picture, what's happening when you look up at the sky, what's happening, and that's metaphorical. What I mean by that is what's happening in terms of when you think about how high you desire to go, what you desire to achieve, the accomplishments yet to have, and possibly some of the opportunities that have already started to present themselves from last week. This can be a furtherance of that, further talks, further interviews taking place. But I do see with the way that your ruling planet is communicating with these other power players, on the one hand, I think that the goals that you're aiming for now seem to be very important to you personally. And it isn't just about, what you're achieving. It's like you're trying to move your life forward. You're trying to change something very fundamental. You're trying to empower yourself. And this is really great. Wherever it is, we all go through times when we feel like we would like to have that progress that does empower ourselves that much more. And so you are moving in that direction, ultimately, feeling that much more. However, some ways, we all empower ourselves in different ways at different times. And right now for you, it is about achieving something meaningful, or at least going for something meaningful, making changes on the career front, or going out for a new job, whatever the case may be, going for a promotion, whatever that aiming high, that goal setting, that breakthrough is for you, that progress is for you. You're taking steps towards that aim. Well, this is where some of the talks further. And this is also where, if there are any mixed feelings, this is where you're going to have to look at them, and you're going to be dealing with them. Now, this is good because clarity, I think the universe likes clarity. When things start getting uncertain or not as conscious, then we are not consciously accessing the best of us. We're not able to bring forward the best of us as much. And I think that that's part of what we're here to do. We're part of meaning to own that energy in all of us. That is what I like to call love and wisdom. But in order to do that, that ultimately is sort of a higher vibration. In order to do that, it requires some sense of self-knowledge. It requires some sense of reflection, being able to look at our lives and feel through what decisions and what choices are right for us. So I think that's part of what's going on here with these different conversations that your ruling planet is having. But again, it comes down to you. It's going to be a very important time for you as you figure out your way forward. And I think for some of you out there, there's also going to be this sense like, okay, this is great. This is an achievement for now. This is going to empower me. It might not be exactly where you want to go. You might not think that this is somewhere you want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have its value today. And that doesn't mean that you can't work towards whatever it is that you desire. So for a lot of you out there, this is going to be more about career. For some of you, this is going to be more about life purpose, direction, not feeling aimless, but feeling like you have something that sort of, gives you a little bit of a bounce to your step as you get out of bed every day. To feel like you're making progress or moving forward in some direction that excites you, especially on a level of curiosity and mind. For your sign, having that sense of curiosity, having that connection to mind is so very important. And that's part of the opportunity being presented to you now. In matters of heart, we do have Mars continuing to move through your opposite sign. Now, Mars is going to reach out to Venus now. Mars and Venus are going to be communicating. This should be a really interesting time. It looks like a part of you, there's almost like this part of you that wants to be indulgent in matters of love, in matters of attraction. But then again, there's another part of you that is aware of where you are right now and where it is that you desire to go. Now, you do just want to be a little bit mindful. I feel like as I look at this, it's almost like if you're open to meeting someone new, like you make a step towards someone, you sort of take an aim towards someone, you feel like you take a shot, if you will, towards connecting with this new person, and then you feel all of a sudden like, oh my God, what did I do? And feeling insecure and feeling unsure, and I don't know, like it's really like tripping yourself up, right? It's like say, oh, they couldn't possibly like me, oh, that person was just being nice. So be mindful of any self-talk like that comes up. I think for some of you, small percentage of you out there, if you experience this energy this way, a lot of that will be about you and your own insecurities. So be mindful of that. Really, you're worthy of love right now as you are. Always. You are always worthy of love right now. You don't have to be or do or have something in order for that to happen. Now, it's another thing to say, you know what, I really need some space to get myself together before I'm going to be open or really be having that time, that investment that I'd like to make in a new relationship. That's one thing, but just also be mindful where that might be a little bit of an excuse. So that's part of the learning here, but also another part of the learning as I look at the sky. Here's the thing, Jupiter is speaking with Pluto. The truth is there. The truth is evident. We're all feeling it. We all know it in our own way, in our own unique life circumstances. And so you know that too, but this could be like sort of drawn to someone, attracted to someone, seeing things that you want to be there that might not be. So sometimes this is safe, when we are attracted to someone that we know would never, can't reciprocate on that level. Maybe their sexual orientation is different. They can't reciprocate on that level. Or their circumstances, or where they live, right? All of these are factors that can play themselves out. And so this is going to be part of your contemplation. Like, is that what's happening here or not? It might be best to give it a little bit of time because you are, and if you're open to meeting someone new, there's a part of you now that is very much thinking about your direction and where you want to go. Because of that, you can, of course, always have those connections. And it does look like if you are in an established bond, the connection that you do have could be around your partner questioning or asking you to look at why you're going for what you're going for. Regardless, ultimately, this is about you understanding that you are loved, that you are cared for, and also about you understanding that there's a real sense of purpose now to your life. A sense of purpose that's driving it. And so love is a part of that. Attraction is a part of that. Flirtation is a part of that as well. Regardless of what may or may not pan out in the big time, regardless of the wisdom that's playing out, it does look like there is love around you, and it does look like people genuinely want to be around you as well. Genuinely are interested in you. And you can take that for what it is today, without having huge expectations or huge fantasies about what it might be in the fullness of time. Hello, fabulous Cancer. This week, we're still in the middle of eclipses. So it's eclipse season, and an especially heightened time for you, those of your sign, because it is the moon that is your ruling luminary. So when we're between eclipses, this element, or rather this idea of insights, of clarity, of spiritual clarity, of mystical connection is that much more heightened and accessible for you. So we're still in the middle of that, but then there's rationality, right? And how are you going to access that? And how is that going to play a part into this? Well, the thing is that right now, rationality, intellect, is working very well with you and very merged into feeling, intuition, and inspiration. And sometimes reality can get in the way of all of that, right? Inspiration ultimately is about what comes on as a feeling, what can't necessarily be touched, what can't necessarily be practical immediately, but that you strive to make practical. So what we've got this week is Mercury. Mercury in fellow water sign Pisces, and a part of the sky for you that has to do with thinking about and actually putting plans into place that will allow you to manifest bigger things further down the road. So we've got Mercury in this part of the sky for you. You add to that this Mercury is having all kinds of conversations with different power players, and it does suggest that there's this part of you that is ready to break out, that's ready to do big things, which is awesome. Own that, that's amazing. And is ready to really start to put into action what ultimately is asking for a little bit more preparation, a little bit of planning, a little bit more of timing. And that can feel, if you allow it to, if you indulge the energy, it can feel restrictive or it can be empowering. It can be extremely positive because it allows you to feel like you've got some control, that you have ways of going about to create greater blessings for yourself, to make life go in a way and in a direction that you want. But it does take a level of consciousness, and it does take being willing to get over a little bit of inertia that might be there, or even just a feeling of things not moving as quickly as you would like. Plan well and great things become possible. There could also be, I have to say, because of the way Mercury is speaking with other power players in the sky, this can be some sort of inflated expectations where it comes to contracts or agreements. So just be mindful of that, because this could be a time when either you sign something that is not going to be of the financial benefit that you are expecting. There might even be some things there that you need to negotiate, things like interest rates and things. So just be mindful of that. Know what it is that you're signing if you do have to sign anything. And strive to have clear expectations, because as much as you're enthusiastic about what could be, there's actually a little bit of a space right now between what could be and what is happening right now. And so what you want to make sure is that you are clear as you're moving forward. It's kind of like you might have this very, for example, because of where Mercury is, part of the sky for you that has to do with education as well, right? So for those of you engaged in a process of higher education, this can be great in terms of having you push beyond previous limits. However, if you are thinking that you're going into one program and you're expecting it to be something, and then you're starting to get, little intimations, messages that it might not be what you think, be open to listening, is what I'm saying. Any preparation, any getting a credential type of thing, you want to make sure that if you are not asking questions that you should be, and people are telling you that you should be, maybe consider finding out, is all I'm saying. But with all that, it does look like you're moving in a really positive direction and really ready and feel very inspired by the bigger and bolder things coming up ahead. Now, where it comes to matters of love, we do have Venus in the same part of the sky. Venus is speaking with Mars right about now. Now, that's a really interesting conversation. It can be very passionate, absolutely. It can be a very passionate connection, but at the same time, it can be one of a lot of tension. And ultimately, this is asking for some one-on-one understanding to transform that connection, to transform that energy to your advantage. We do have Pluto speaking with Jupiter. This is great for you where it comes to matters of love, great for you where it comes to having the right conversation. And also, this is really great for getting that information, right? Really great for considering negotiations as well. In matters of heart, in matters of love as well. So for those of you who are in an established bond, as I look at this, this does suggest sort of a very passionate place to be, okay? Wanting to experience greater passion with your partner as well, always a good thing. And at the same time, knowing that there might be some things that need to be talked about and need to be resolved, so that it isn't just about some physical expression, but also that there's that emotional element as well. And with this, there also can be, I gotta say, a lot of things work out energetically sometimes. And this could be that type of situation, whether it is in an established bond or with someone that you are getting to know. If you are getting to know somebody right about now, talking is key to figure out if this is working or it isn't. It's a very like, okay, I see the truth of the matter and I am making a decision. Either really this is feeling like it and you're bonded and you're strong, or it's feeling like, you know, okay, I don't think that this is working. There's a certain energy of endings with both of these, with Pluto and Jupiter. Both of these planets in their own way have that kind of energy of healthy, especially when they're speaking in supreme harmony like this, knowing what's working, but also knowing what's not, and being okay by that, being empowered by that. So you will know that as well. Just a little bit of talking can go a really long way. And those of you who are open to meeting someone new, I think it's going to be that Venus-Mars that is going to be a lot more dominant. It's just a very passionate connection. The reality, you might see through to the reality and be like, okay, when you talk too much, you might learn too much. And so you're going to have to figure out where and how you're going to navigate that. But for all that, it looks at the very least, and especially where it comes to you doing your day in and day outs, whether at the workplace or running, you know, sort of the business of living, your little rituals that you take part in every day. It is in those spaces that very likely at least one moment will feel like a very romantic and energized wake-up call. Hello, fabulous Leo. This week we have got a very active sky. Now, last week, your ruling luminary, the sun, made some very specific connections with other power players in the sky as part of a solar eclipse that took place. This week, Mercury is moving over those same parts of the sky where the sun was. This to me is key. It is really important because it is speaking to you having a deepening appreciation and also a further clarity on a mind level, following up the inspirations, the opportunities, the ideas of last week with communication, with connection, with phone calls, with emails. This is going to be a time when you're actually considering on a more mind level, on a clearer mind level, what it is here that you want to do and how it is here that you are going to move forward with this given endeavor of life, really, of understanding yourself, and particularly where it comes to matters of finances. That really is what was lit up for you over the course of last week with this particular eclipse that just took place. We're in eclipse season right now. And with Mercury bringing to light, bringing to awareness, bringing to a clearer understanding what it is now and how it is that you can progress those ideas, those opportunities. How it is now where maybe you've got to, you know, make an agreement, sign some documents to make greater prosperity happen for yourself. How it is now that you're going to honestly evaluate and figure out your plan forward. For all signs out there, when Mercury is speaking like the way it is with Saturn, with Jupiter, and Pluto as well, it does suggest a time to be aware of what you are signing and what you are agreeing to. That's really important. It might end up being a thing that ends up being more restrictive than you realize. It might end up being a thing that is not nearly as optimistic as you had hoped, not nearly as advantageous as you had hoped, but that doesn't mean that negotiating, talking things out just a little bit will take you really, really far. Where it comes to income that you earn and doing a job really well and therefore making more money, you've got a lot of cosmic support to make strong financial progress that lasts for yourself. So a really good time for you to be connecting with employers, connecting with clients, attracting really great clients if you're self-employed, or just picking up more hours at work, or just projects that really seem to excite you. Projects that feel like you're being challenged in a good way, but also helping you to create greater prosperity for yourself. At the very least, you'll be making some adjustments and some changes now that allow you to put some strong things in place that can be greatly prosperous for you for a very long time to come. Where it comes to matters of heart, right now we have got Venus moving through the same part of the sky where the eclipse happened last week, and also speaking with Mars and fellow fire sign Sagittarius. This particular conversation can be very passionate for a lot of us out there. For you in particular, Mars right now is in a very romantic part of your sky. This is passion. This is awakening on a level of passions, physical awakening as well, the flush of romance, getting your flirt on, as I like to call it. That's where Mars is right now, and you're in a process right now of owning that very creative and creation energy that can propel us towards new people, that can inspire us to keep the connections we have rich and fun and enjoyable, and also can inspire us to be more creative and to be more open to more romantic experiences. So this is very encouraging, a strong placement for Mars to be in. And you're in this extended time where you're going to be considering why you're attracted to what you are, what it says about you, right? Like, you know, when you meet somebody and you have that immediate reaction, like an energetic physical reaction, they might not even said that much just yet. Now, what's that about? What's happening? What kind of subtle cues are they giving that is speaking to that very deep part of you that is creating that sense of awakening? That's part of what this sky right now promises you, that very insight, or at the very least, having that feeling and being surprised by it, quite frankly, being surprised by having that feeling, getting that flush of excitement. And of course, you decide what it is that you want to do with that. But attraction is so powerful. Energy is so powerful. If you're in an established bond, this is a very passionate sky. So trust yourself. Don't, hold yourself back, is what I want to say with that, because it does look like ultimately this is a time that can really deepen strong bonds. Where bonds are strong, this is a time that can deepen them and solidify them that much more. And with this particular sky, it might take a little bit of, figuring out schedules, especially if you've been with somebody for a while, and a little bit of a creative approach. But of course, romantic moments can certainly happen. And if you're getting to know someone as well, this could be a time when you see some things and you're not quite sure how you feel about it. So this can be, do you ever have that feeling where someone does something and in a certain light it's really cute and adorable, and in another light it can be really, create questions within yourself? It's that kind of moment where you realize, like, okay, this was really cute the other day, but now I'm not so sure. Now I don't know how I feel about this. Keep in mind though, and especially if you're just getting to know someone, if it's right, it has a certain flow to it. It shouldn't feel like a lot of hard work. It shouldn't feel like you're exhausting yourself just to get to know somebody, or to even make those first couple of connections happen. If you feel like, really uncertain, I think people know, like they know when something's right and when it's not. And it's one thing to be excited about meeting someone new. It's another thing to feel like, you're texting them and you're not getting an answer back. You're getting one text back a day and, you're texting them 10 times a day. That's not good. Don't text someone 10 times a day if you're not getting that, reciprocal thing happening. So this is you seeing that in yourself. Like, okay, what do you want to do? Do you feel like you're working way too hard to make something solid happen here? It's good to be honest with yourself about that, of course, because that can help you to understand how you want to move forward in any given connection, in any given interest. And if you are open to meeting someone new, be mindful, because, flirts can get carried, getting your flirt on, can get carried pretty far right about now. And sometimes in the moment, keeping it light, just make sure there's also a flow there, is what I'm saying. So you keep it light in the moment, you enjoy yourself, of course, but then also let it be what it is that you need it to be in any given moment, and enjoy yourself. And as soon as it feels like that is not happening, if that should be the case, you can honor that. And if it feels like that is happening, then you can honor that as well. So try not to overthink it, try not to tire yourself, try instead to just be in the moment, and it'll end up being that much more enjoyable to meet new people. Hello, fabulous Virgo. This week we have got an active sky. We've got Mercury retracing steps that the sun made last week. And this is all happening in your opposite sign. So this is very much about what's happening in terms of love partnerships, romantic, and business. So it looks like at least one other person is key right about now to your understanding of where you are in life, in love, in your expectations of another key person, and where it is that you are either needing to accept less than desirable circumstances or needing to change, needing to evolve, needing to think about a pathway forward. Where it is that you're seeing things, and where is it that you can say to yourself, okay, this is working, this isn't, am I willing to go along, am I not? So these are very powerful moments to have. These are powerful insights to have about yourself, and particularly as you are considering who you are as reflected in the eyes of another. So it's really all about at least one other person now, and that connection going through some changes. If you are experiencing this romantically, on a romantic level, if you're in an established bond, this sky is going to speak that much more powerfully to you. And this is going to be a time of some renegotiating, a time of reflecting of where it is that your love has brought you and where it is that it has fallen short in the past, what you've accepted, what's working, what isn't. These are big questions to ask, especially if you've been with that person that much longer. How willing are they to actually work with you in terms of negotiate, in terms of be better? These are going to be areas that you are looking at with this person, and that element of reflection especially. You know, where are you off from the ideal? Where is it better that you are not what you thought, you are not where you thought you should be, right? Because sometimes we have this vision and we think it's so awesome and oh, that would be so great in love. And then the universe delivers us something different and we realize it's so much better than what we could have asked for ourselves or planned for ourselves. Is that the case or not? So this is a real moment of honesty. But keep in mind that even with what seems less than ideal, you can still find the love in that, and you can still find ways to move forward in the bond that you have if that's what you want to do. Because it does look like for the most part, the bond is strong. Like there's a strong sense of wanting this to work and wanting that commitment. If there are any issues that need to be worked out, right about now is when you are going to very much want to talk. And so find ways to do that. Find ways that feel safe so that you can do that. But also, it's always a good idea to make it about you, how you're feeling and what your hopes are for the future for this bond. Whatever might be, even if it's just a slight thing, a little place that you need some further understanding, some things you need to talk about that are in your heart, then of course you will have that space and make that space to do just that. If you are open to meeting somebody new or just in the very beginning of getting to know somebody, this particular sky and the conversation part of it is more likely to be happening with a friend. So it's like you're talking about love with someone that you trust one-on-one. You're figuring out where you are, why you're there, and particularly because we just had an eclipse in this part of the sky. So chances are at least one person of interest has presented themselves so that you can get these insights into yourself. So you can understand where you are in love and how you feel about it and what it is within you that you are ready to leave behind or work on or have more of so that you can be more available to love. So you can understand how you got here and you're more clear about the direction in which you are heading and have a sense of excitement and enthusiasm of what is coming up ahead, particularly where it comes to knowing that love can be yours. This also can be a time when you start getting serious about wanting love. That's not a bad thing. And get serious about looking at yourself so that you can prepare for greater love. For some of you, this is going to be worked out in addition to or instead of love in business areas, right? With people that you might be aligned with in terms of your work and professional connections, professional partnerships that you may have. And this is going to be a time of needing to have maybe a conversation that isn't always so comfortable where it applies, that isn't always so comfortable, but ultimately will really help you to understand how you can better contribute to this connection to make it that much stronger. What I love about this week for you is that you are finding your voice. You are finding your voice and you are giving voice to what otherwise might be and might feel a little bit more challenging. You're willing to go through that change and to be brave for the sake of love. And because of that, the universe very often, because of that bravery and because of that willingness, rewards you with more love, greater love than you've known before. Hello, fabulous Libra. This week we have got an active sky, particularly active where we had the eclipse last week. So this is a furtherance of the issues, the ideas, the inspirations, the connections, the opportunities that showed up last week. Now getting further conversations and considerations and communications at that. So we've got Mercury now moving over the same parts of the sky that the sun was moving over last week. Next week, Venus will enter this picture as well. So for this week, you're preparing for what your ruling planet is going to do next week. I'll be here to talk about it then, but it's really important to pay attention to what's happening now, because in some way it will foreshadow what it is that is coming up. It will foreshadow a deepening understanding, first on an intellectual level, and next week more on a personal identity level. But it will portend to where it is now that you are ready to consider new options, new dynamics, new connections, particularly in the workplace, and the people, the clients that you may attract, and the people you surround yourself with kind of day in and day out. There's another part of this also that has to do with self-care. How are you caring for yourself? How are you speaking to yourself? And how is it supporting a sense of self-care? And also, how is it supporting the people that you have around or don't have around? These are going to be some of the considerations now and topics of conversation and topics of reflection, for that matter, that are taking place now. It does look like, especially in the earlier part of the week, there is a more challenging conversation set to take place. It does feel a little hard to approach, but as you do that, you will find your voice in the midst of it. This could also be someone asking you to take on certain responsibilities in the workplace that maybe aren't yours to take on, or asking you to change your role a little bit in ways that you're not sure how you feel about, not sure that you like. This is something that you may have to feel out. I think you can see the advantages or not for those of you who experience the sky this way. You can see how this could be good, but it could be a little mixed as part of your plan and your move forward. Also with this given sky, what I do really like about this sky for you is that your ruling planet is having some conversations, is speaking with Mars. Now, for you, this is very passionate, and that passion is likely to manifest in terms of communicating with words, in messages, in conversations. Keep in mind with this, this part of the sky also has to do with the internet and messages you exchange online. As I look at this, I feel like you might have like a flirtatious conversation if you are, open to that kind of stuff. And there might be a little bit of misunderstanding there. So what I mean by that is, it might be that you're communicating with this person and they might be coming on way too strong, or it might be you that comes on too strong. It might be that the dynamic doesn't feel as balanced as you necessarily would like. So with this particular sky, I would also say to you that, keep in mind that you are interpreting whatever you're reading, right? This is like a very common understanding, especially in our modern world, that you're interacting with what you're reading. And as I look at this, I feel like you might get a message that is love related, romance related, and have a certain interpretation of it that wasn't quite intended, or might actually be you are interpreting it as more aggressive than it is. Now, if it makes you feel uncomfortable, that's first and foremost, right? It might not be as aggressive as you think it is, but that doesn't mean it's not aggressive. And that doesn't mean that if you feel uncomfortable, you shouldn't honor that. Absolutely, you should honor that. And so you've got to feel your way out with that. But look, it looks safe, don't get me wrong. But it does look like, if you're just having a conversation about apple pie and all of a sudden a picture shows up, that might make you want to take a little bit of a step back, which you probably is not a bad idea. But also keep in mind that you are not also going in that direction as well. Keep in mind that the other person is also interpreting what it is that you're writing. And this is particularly true if you're just getting to know people. If you're open to meeting someone new, this becomes that much more imperative to understand. Also, if you are in an established bond in the context of love, it is important to choose your words. Always a good idea. To choose your words, but I do like this mercurial energy. It does suggest that you will have a certain willingness to engage on a mind level, and you will have a certain willingness to consider that this is somebody that you want this to work out with. You want this to be a long-term thing, or at least longer term, and that you're willing to overcome any resistance, any fear, especially on your part, that might be there in order to make this work. So there's willingness really all around, but especially on your part, to give words to anything that you think might be getting in the way of a stronger connection with this person. And if you're just getting to know somebody as well, I think that that element of the text messages and needing to be careful around that becomes that much more imperative to pay attention to. In other areas, I do think as I look at this particular sky, there is a strong sort of undercurrent of support happening for you now. There's lots of things happening behind the scenes and lots of things happening kind of under the surface. Maybe things, projects, inspirations, ideas that you're working on. They hold tremendous potential for great wealth. This is you being prepared for a brand new cycle a little bit later this year. With Jupiter and Pluto connecting now for the second of 3 rare, supremely harmonious connections, this is about you preparing the groundwork energetically, but also inspirationally, preparing the groundwork for all the new beginnings that I'll be here to talk about as we go along. Hello, fabulous Scorpio. This week we've got a continuation of the energy that took place last week with the eclipse. So in many ways, the same points in the sky, if you will, are being highlighted now, further developed now, and further developed on a level of communication, on a level of mind, and on a level of understanding, on a level of perception. And this trend is actually going to continue into next week as well, though it'll change its flavor a little bit. But right now, it becomes about understanding things more on a mind level and reaching out, communicating, considering, and striving to understand whatever that may be, what's happening with you in your heart primarily. For some of you, this energy is going to play out in very romantic ways. And so the romance plays out in terms of your own desire to feel engaged with life and to feel a sense of desire is really what it comes down to. This is a part of the sky that has to do with feeling alive. And there's nothing that makes you feel as alive, that makes any of us feel as alive as the experience of crushes, of flirting, of romance, of getting to know somebody, of feeling that sense of attraction and desire towards someone. That's what's playing out right now. But now there's a little bit of a reality check energy. So if you experienced last week in terms of meeting somebody new or getting to know somebody, or even striving to enjoy the person that you're with, having some romantic experiences with someone in an established bond, this is going to be a time when now comes, some further insight, some further communication, talking things out, considering things from their perspective, considering how it is that you're going to proceed now that you are getting some different insights into who this person is. If it is somebody new that you just met, this should be an especially interesting time. I do think that early in the week, there may be some delays or a sense of some delays, feeling like things aren't progressing as fast as you necessarily would like. That doesn't mean that they won't. It just means that, the universe might ask you to slow down just a little bit, to hold your horses, if you will, as you are not only getting to know this person, but also learning about yourself in the context of love and romance and flirtation. What I do really like about this sky is that there is a strong element of hope, and there's a real sense on your part that you can work with it, whatever it is that the universe is sending your way. And I think that this is largely because of Pluto. Pluto, your ruling planet, your modern ruling planet, speaking in harmony with Mercury. And you add to this the fact that we've got your ancient ruling planet, Mars, speaking with Venus. So this suggests to me motivation, desire to know about yourself, to learn about yourself, to make things work, and an ability, particularly with Pluto now, an ability to use this energy to actually make things go in a more desirable way, to use energy to get clearer insights into yourself, to use energy, circumstances, communications, words, negotiations, to get what it is that you want and to make events go in your favor. In fact, I think of all the signs out there, you are more likely than most to have things go very much in your favor. What I also really like about this sky is that right about now there is a strong motivation for you to find a sense of fulfillment, particularly creative fulfillment. And different Scorpios are going to feel this in different ways. For some of you out there, this is going to be wanting to live a life more creatively, bringing attention to your own creative projects. If you're a creative person, consider yourself a creative person of any kind, then this is going to be a time when you're actually willing to put in the time and put in the work to make something great come about. This can also be a time when you are considering ways to share your creative vision and your creativity in general, your art in general. What is it that you need to put into place? Who do you need to talk to, communicate with? What agreements do you need to reach if you are going to start to show what it is that you're doing in new ways, in bigger ways, or just to show your latest offerings in ways that also are creative and have an element of bringing new people in that you hope will be part of expanding your reach. Others of you are going to experience all this energy really in terms of children. So if you have children, this can be an amazing time, a time when at the very least they're getting a lot of your attention, a time when you're having lots of talks with them, with teachers or other caregivers, and trying to figure out how to be the best parent that you can. So you can expect your children to want and need more of your attention now, but it seems like you're very willing to give it, and there's a part of you that emerges forward, a part of you that you seem to like very much as you are communicating with other people and with your children as well, and creating the bedrock of even more established bonds based in love that is consistent and love that helps you grow as well. Hello, fabulous Sagittarius. This week we've got an active sky for you. It's all about home base and furthering the opportunities, the insights, the inspirations that took place last week. But here's the thing we also have happening this week, and that is Mars. Mars is in your sign right now, slowing down, still a little whiles away before the retrograde starts, but in your sign and slowing down slowly but surely. And this week, Mars in your sign will reach out to Venus, will speak with Venus. You add to this that Mercury will speak with Saturn in your sign as well. So you can see that it's an active sky for you now. There's lots happening directly in your sign, which means that you are changing, you are shifting. And events taking place now are deeply important to you. It does look like you're communicating with people, you're striving to reach out to people, particularly people that you've already had a connection with, people particularly from your past, whether it is that you're seeking to understand your past differently or better, or whether it is that you are reaching out to these people in hopes that you can count on those connections to advance yourself, advance your life, and go forward from there. Regardless, it does look like that is very much part of the effort to foster those connections and use them to your advantage. Some will flow a little bit easier than others, that's true, but that's kind of the way that life can be sometimes. But look, here's the thing. We've also got right now Jupiter at the very top of your sky having its second of 3 rare, supremely harmonious contacts with Pluto. This suggests to me that You are really headed in a very positive direction where it comes to your career. And this is about making a power move, a power play, if you will. This is about having this sense that life is moving in an empowering direction and that things are changing to your advantage. Or at the very least, you see how you can make them change to your advantage. Now, just be mindful. I feel as I look at this, because of that trine, things are going really well and they can get even better. Whether it is opportunities are practically showing up for you, whether it is that you're just having great ideas that you know are going to pay off big, and they really will, or whether it is that you are feeling a sense, a clarity of direction and of purpose, a clarity of the goals and the things that you still have to do and you want to do very much so. There's a certain commitment that you have right now. And as I look at the sky, my only advice would be just be mindful of people. You know, they might be very well intentioned, they may love you very much, but it's almost as if you're really optimistic and you're happiest and at your best when you have that sense of enthusiasm for life. In fact, Sagittarius need to be enthusiastic about themselves, about their lives. You've got that. However, maybe a well-intentioned person, particularly in your family, might try to talk you out of something or might burst your bubble a little bit. So you've got to be mindful of that. Is that something that's okay with you? Are you okay reaching out? Or are you like okay understanding? Are you able to understand that this person is just giving you their perspective, nothing else, that it doesn't have anything to do with you? If you can do that, right, stay connected to self. This is a key. This is so important for Sagittarius out there, to stay connected to self, to know who you are and to know your truth. And if your truth is that you are ready to move on from the environment, the work environment, you're ready to go in a whole other direction, that's okay. If your truth is that you know you will be moving on soon, but right now you're going to stay where you are, then that's okay. And maybe your truth is that you are where you want to be. And it doesn't matter what tomorrow brings. It's that you are committed right now, today, to exactly where you are. There's no need to explain that. There's no need to justify it. There's a part of you that knows that in many ways you are redefining success. You are redefining prosperity. This is an important week as part of that process. Don't let people talk you out of that process. That's what you want to watch out for. But all is well other than that. As long as you are using ideas, stimulation in a healthy way, and channeling that towards change that you desire, then other people can say what they want. If you're at peace with yourself and you're happy with yourself, you're connected to your truth, you can take it for the love that is there and not have to take anything else any more personally. And where it comes to matters of heart, matters of love, Venus in your sign, Venus is speaking to Mars in your sign. This is a desire for love, a desire for passion, motivated to take action, to experience greater love, experience greater passion. If you're in an established bond, a lot of this stuff, working it out, trying to make it happen, is happening on the home front. So there's a desire now to sort of spend time with the person that you love and to figure out a way to make that home space more conducive, more beautiful to both of you. Now, you do want to watch something. One key with working with Mars is, with Mars, you can, see, here's the thing. Mars is an energy of change. Mars is an energy of personal truth. And I'll be talking about this as we go along because Mars is a very important symbol for you now this year. The thing is with Mars is that you have to keep the focus on yourself. It's an energy of self. It's an energy of wholeness within yourself, knowing yourself and taking action from that place. It's an energy of change, knowing yourself enough to know what you need to do on your own behalf to live that person in the world, what it is you really want to do, and being confident in that and exerting your efforts out there to make whatever it is that you desire come about. So we have this energy playing out, but the thing is that if you don't tap into it, if you are not actively using this energy to make changes, positive changes in your life, this energy can turn in on itself and become very frustrated. And frustration, mischanneled, right? If you're not owning it, you're projecting it. So you want to be mindful of that. That doesn't mean that there might not be legitimate grievances with the person that you love. It does mean, though, that you've got to own your perceptions and you've got to decide how it is that you're going to react. And if there's something to resolve, how is it that you are going to do that? But for all of that, you'll be feeling very alive, especially romantic, frisky even, if I may say. And that can add a lot of sweetness. That can add a lot of play as well in your established bond. Those of you open to meeting someone new or just getting to know somebody, again, that energy of change, don't let it go to frustration. Keep it on you, but there is an awakening happening, a body awakening. Mars is an energy of awakening on a physical level. And then you add to that having Mars in your sign, and this becomes a very important process for you now, a process that likely will stay with you for a very long time to come. So own it, and especially own your energetic responses to other people. They're telling you not only where your attractions are, but also where your learning is. Hello, fabulous Capricorn. This week we've got an active sky, and in many ways you are the receiver of some of the greatest blessings now. And this is because Pluto is in your sign. Jupiter is making the second of 3 supremely harmonious, rare contacts to that Pluto. If you were born smack dab in the middle of your sign, so if you were born right around the 7th of the month, give or take a few days on either side, you are going to feel this energy more than most, but everybody out there will be feeling a boost and a positive insight that leads itself to meaningful change. That is what is on offer now with this particular contact. You add to that your Pluto in your sign will be speaking in harmony with Mercury this week as well. So it looks like conversations, communications are part of the changes that take place for you now, part of the insights, part of the awakenings, or part of appreciating what you can do to make the most of what's being presented to you now and make the most of the blessings being presented to you now. So think back to the Jupiter special. I would encourage you to watch it again. That Jupiter special that I recorded for Jupiter moving through the sign of Virgo, it is at this time that that very energy is magnified. That very energy is heightened. That very energy gets a real burst of potency to any action that you take. It would be wise to watch that again, or at least recall that, because those themes that I raised in that video are part of how it is that you're going to utilize this time to your advantage, because it is that Jupiter that's getting a lot of energy from Pluto in your sign, but ultimately it's about you going through a metamorphosis and reaching a real sweet spot in that process of deep, significant change. What I also really like about this sky for you now is that even as you are getting clearer, where it comes to matters of heart, where it comes to matters of love, so much of what's happening now has to do with words, with communications, and with talking things out. So much of how the sky is playing out now speaks to your own transformation, contributing to you understanding what needs to be said, what it is that you desire to communicate, and what it is that you actually are going to say to create greater opportunities in love for yourself as well. So what I mean by that is if you're in an established bond, there's a desire now on your part to speak your truth, to connect on a mind level, to feel like this person understands you, to feel like you're with your best friend. That's going to be part of the desire now. Those of you who are open to meeting someone new, I actually think that there's going to be communicating, messaging, maybe even looking at friends of friends of friends to see who you find attractive for some of you out there, a few of you out there. Also very likely will be possibly, if you are so inclined, some online interactions as well. So all of this ultimately is about using mind, using language to connect with other people without necessarily feeling that you're all in, that you're all invested. And even if there is some resistance to this process of sharing, of communicating, exchanging ideas, at the same time, there is a sense of hope At the very least, this brings a sense of hope into your life. Be mindful with words though now, right? Because words, they can be especially exaggerated. So I do want you to be careful in that you might, like, people might not be exactly what they seem. We do have Jupiter standing across from Mercury now. So everything might not be crystal clear. You might be presented with a great image and not necessarily questioning the reality. But for all that, you can enjoy this time, and you certainly can find ways to continue to change and continue to tap into that part of you that knows that you deserve love and all good things. Hello, fabulous Aquarius. This week we've got an active sky, and a lot of that activity is happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with the money that you earn, money that you're making. This is going to continue a financial trend from last week. New opportunities, insights, understandings, motivations, finding you now as you gain clarity and traction into what it is that you need to do to create a positive financial environment for you now and in the future. What I really like about this sky for you is that it speaks very strongly to a sincere desire to sort of empower yourself in terms of your finances, in terms of the money that you're making, to find a way to make the changes that you desire, but continue an upward growth in prosperity. I also really like, as I look at the sky for you, that there's also a desire on your part to do work that is more meaningful. And how is that going to also contribute to not only something real, an honest expression of you, but at the same time contribute to a growing understanding, a changing understanding of what prosperity is going to mean to you in your life, and owning your right and your desire to experience greater prosperity at that. We've got Jupiter making a supremely harmonious conversation or contact with Pluto. Pluto is in the sign just before yours now, and this part of the sky has to do with fears, yes, self-sabotage, yes, but also secret helpers, people secretly on your side, and karma, the karma that you've built up, whether in this lifetime with people doing good things on your behalf, or over a period of lifetimes, if you're so inclined to look at the sky from that lens. With this contact, this does suggest very strongly, with Jupiter in a financial part of the sky for you, that things are falling into place to, whether it's heal your relationship with money, to allow greater prosperity in, or just to facilitate experiences, moments of greater prosperity. All of that is being set up really nicely right now. So there's a lot going on under the surface. Some you might not even be aware of. You might just be releasing fears or things that held you back before. And this ultimately is a way to find greater freedom. This theme of freedom is going to kick into higher gear as we move later into the month and planets start moving over your ruling planet Uranus. That is when lots of things are going to start to initiate for you, become more crystal clear for you. It's like you're taking leaps into the future. But right now you're setting the stage, and this is possibly more valuable than those leaps, because this is the time when you are clearing the way. You're clearing the fears, and you're letting the universe, your angels, your guides, helpers, other people that you might not even be aware of, who are working fervently on your behalf to make good things happen for you, to make greater prosperity happen for you. Now, if you watched, I'm sure you did, if you watched the monthly horoscopes back in February, you may remember, and I said in the weekly horoscopes as well, in late February, I said, okay, we're having this full moon, don't do your taxes, okay? I remember saying that. Depending on where you are on the planet, I know in Canada, normally what happens is by the end of February, you kind of get all the, wherever you've worked, you get your slips in the mail, and then you can, between then and 2.5 months later, file your taxes. So I remember saying, regardless of where you are on the planet, do not do or file your taxes under that particular full moon. Well, now that full moon period is gone. We had the eclipse, which officially ended that full moon period. And now we are having this supremely harmonious conversation taking place right around the 16th of the month over the course of this week. this is the time to do your taxes, okay? This is the time to file. This is the time to actually do the paperwork and make sure all is well, because I think that this is going to be the type of conversation that you need to make sure that things are being done accurately, things are being done to your advantage. So if you've been waiting to actually, hand in everything to your accountant, or if you are, like me and you like to do your taxes yourself, because you're a big nerd like me, then you can now start to take that action to make this energy work to your advantage, because this energy does suggest that first of all, taking care of your finances will empower you on one level. But on another hand, this energy does suggest that it's going to be now that the right people, the right insights will all just fall into place to ensure that you move powerfully forward in all your financial dealings and move powerfully towards greater prosperity. Where it comes to matters of heart, matters of love, we do have Venus speaking with Mars this week. It makes for a very passionate sky. If you're in an established bond, just be mindful that friends are not getting in the way of your love, okay, and your established bond. So you are going to want to find that right balance. But if you can find a way to bring it together, right, to know you can have your friends, your partner can have their friends, but yet you have that bond, you have that connection, you're going to trust it and nurture it, then this can be a great time where connecting with other people can actually make your love stronger. Those of you open to meeting someone new right now, I think a lot of the energy is focused on friendships. If you are getting to know somebody, friendships, nurture that contact. They say that air signs fall in love with their best friend. And this is a week where you will insist that that is what you see before you take it any further. Hello, fabulous Pisces. This week we've got an active sky and you are at the middle of the party. You're the center, you're the star of the party. And that is because eclipse last week, yes, big changes started happening. This week, it furthers the conversation. And we'll actually next week as well, of course, I'll be here to talk about it then. I talked about it, touched on it a little bit in the introduction. But this does suggest some powerful momentum building and continuing to build. You're determined. You feel on one level, I think your mind is going to feel on one hand very inspired and on another hand very focused. This can be a powerful time where you find solutions to long-standing problems, things that might have felt like they dogged you, they were never going to be solved. Now the solutions come, the right connections with other people, the right communications with other people, the right messages, coming across the right posts on social media, online, all of this. I remember back in the day, way back in the day, now that I realize that it really was back in the day. Back in the day when I was in school, I remember my professor saying that going to the library is divination. And what he meant by that was you can go to the library and know you got to look up a certain book. But when you go to the bookshelf and you see, you're searching for that book and you see it, now this is back when you actually had to go to the library, not all the books were like right online. And it wasn't even that long ago, but you go to the stacks, as they called them. And you're looking for that book, yes, but then you're also going to be open to what's around, right? You're going to see what else the universe is presenting to you, what catches your attention. And then along with that, you go back, you check again to see, oh, you have an idea, an inspiration, go look it up, see what's happening there. And then you come back to the stack, so you walk around, you look at what grabs your attention. So in this way, it's like, something guides you. The universe guides you to find the information that you need to be exposed to the knowledge that you need for your highest good, for the highest good of all concerned. And so this is one way in which I like to interact with all information now, whether you're on YouTube, online, whatever the case may be. Approach it as divination now, because really it's almost as if the universe is going to try to send you messages through the informations, the articles that just pop right in front of you, that catch your attention. And these could end up being, the smallest article can end up having a huge change and a huge significant shift for you as you are now redefining yourself as a different person in different words, in different ways. You're now going to start to articulate what it is that was a feeling last week. You are now going to start to give it words and understand how it is you're going to move forward. Don't talk yourself into how daunting you think it might be. Chances are it's not. If it's right, it flows. That doesn't mean you don't have to work hard and challenge yourself and grow in ways you never expected. But there is a flow, a naturalness to things when you're on the right path. And I think you are going to find that now. There might be some really big, colorful visions, but certainly you can trust them and move towards them in ways that feel safe to you. And this is true in love as well. If you're in an established bond, I almost feel like as I see this that, your partner might have this whole other perspective that you're not sure what you feel about it. This whole other perspective that makes you question, that makes you go, okay, but I'm really feeling this. I really want to do this. I really want to move in this direction. And that should help you tremendously to gather momentum. Just that insight, just seeing that projected onto this other person will help you to own whatever it is that's going to help you to move forward in life and in love as well. It could be that your partner is the one mirroring your fears to you, but it also could be that your partner is just way too enthusiastic, a cheerleader, and it's freaking you out a little bit. It's possible, if I could say. And if that's the case, then you can tap into the best intention of that. If you are open to meeting someone new, look, and even in an established bond right now, you've got Jupiter in your opposite sign having its second of 3 rare, supremely harmonious conversations with Pluto. If you look at the Jupiter special video that I did last summer, and I would really encourage you to watch it again, because all the themes that I talk about for your sign in that horoscope are amplified now, are especially going to be important to you now. So do take a moment to tap into that. I think that there's going to be some really powerful progress that takes place now. It's very possible that you do meet somebody with whom you have a very strong bond that takes you by surprise. It's also very possible that the bond you have ends up solidifying that much more, cementing itself in your heart and making you feel that much more committed now and certain that you will remain committed for years to come. Well, thank you so much to all signs out there. Enjoy this very rare trine. I hope that you do very much, and it creates beautiful, positive power moves and wonderful transformations for you personally, and also in the best possible sense for the highest good of all concerned collectively as well. Thank you so much again. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.